mu set te ndox mu set dafa bokk ci dundi doomu aadama te biir kat amul seetu waral na lépp lu fay dugg dafa war a doon li nga xamante ne ni lu indil doomu aadama bi loraange ci wàllu wérgu yaram One Stop Water Solution Limited ñu ngi fii ci biir réew taxaw temm fexe pour gis ne doomu aadama bu ne di nga naan ndox moo xamante ne ni ndox mu sell te wóor la ndax indil nañ leen ay xeetu filtres yi nga xamante ne ni mun ngeen koy jëfandikoo ci seeni pompe yi ci biir réew moo xam booxool ngay jëfandikoo wala pompe nawek yi ne bépp xeetu filtre bi nga xamante ne ni dina la indil wérgu yaram musal la ci loraange amal nañ leen ko ci biir réew am nañ 10-inch filter set of 3 bii nag ñett lay àndal bu ci ne ak li muy liggéey bokk na ci 5 micron pp sediment filter bii nag mooy segg ndox mi ba mu set génne fa lépp li nga xamante ne ni warta ànd ak ndox moomu bala nga koy jëfandikoo gat granule carbon filter bii nag mooy segg génne lépp lu xeetoog chemical ak organique yi nga xamante ne ñoom ñoo nekk ci biir ndox mi sellal ndox mi ba waral mu soppi li nga xamante ne moom la ndox mi di saf mu soppi cafin yi def ko ndox mu sell te óor CTO block carbon filter bii nag du yem rek ci segg ndox mi sellal ko ba mu sell waaye nag daf koy yokk ay ngéneel yi nga xamante ne ni day baax ci wér gu yaramu doomu aadama bi dëgëral waaye tamit yàggal lool sa yuur wi am nañ tamit 12-inch filter set of 3 boobu it liggéey bu nu mel lay def ñetti filter yépp benn bu ne ak lu muy liggéey am nañ 10-inch post carbon 10-inch coconut carbon 75 GPD PO1 membrane bi amal nañ leen bépp xeetu water tank tàmbalee ko ci 500 litres 5000 ba ci 1000 litres ak plumbing fittings kon nag mbokk yi bu ngeen buggee naan ndex yu sell te wóor seeti leen One Stop Water Solution Limited suñu màkkaan bu mag baa nga foofa ca Sukuta Highway Mariama Kunda Johnson wala nga call ñu ci 505 5691 796 8272 One Stop Water Solution Limited ndox mu set mooy yàggal dund ni doomu.
Good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning, and I am your host, Jennifer Sonko, joined by my co-host, Ali Cisse.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. It's a pleasure to be back here today.
Yes, today I did not say welcome back from that short commercial break, or hey, it's Youth Dialogue, or welcome to the news, you know. But Mr. Ade, hey, I think it's quite normal that we mix these things sometimes.
It do happen.
You know, sometimes when I'm on the news desk, I nearly say, hello, you're watching this morning.
It's quite embarrassing because sometimes somebody will phone me on my mobile, my personal mobile, and I'll answer it saying, this is QTV News. Thinking, hang on, that's for the desk line.
Yeah.
You know, but because you're taking calls all the time, you can get these things mixed
Yeah,
up.
and you just get used to it. And thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Pleasure, as always.
Yeah, so as usual, we have the African proverb today. We also have the newspaper review. We already introduced our guest here. And on Community Watch today, we'll be taking a look at a day medical outreach to Farafenye by the Association of Resident Doctors. And we'll be joined by the PRO as well as outreach coordinator, Dr. Abdullah Ba. And also on social issues, food vendors and the Hamatan. It is important that we get to check what food vendors are trying to put in place to ensure that the dust will not affect their food. And of course, the body responsible for that is the Quality Assurance Institution. So we'll be joined by the Principal Food Inspector as well as the Risk Communication Officer, Gambia Food Safety and Quality Authority. Is it Quality Assurance or Authority?
Quality assurance. No, authority.
It's authority. Yeah, not assurance, right?
It's authority.
And what they do is assurance. They give assurance. But if you're talking about the authority itself,
it's an authority instead of an assurance thing. Yeah. So yes. So and on sports update, hopefully we'll be joined by Ade Drami.
Yes, if my voice holds up.
Allows you.
I've been complaining to my colleagues that I seem to be gradually losing my voice. So I might ask someone else to step in for the sports.
Okay,
but if I do, then we've got stuff on Scorpions and also the Gambia Karate Association. Who've just
but you never know. As the conversation goes, it might clear the truth.
And
we'll have you back here. So you never know. Looking forward to that. So what is our African proverb, Ali?
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Well, the African proverb for today is the same sun that melts wax is also capable of hardening clay.
The sun that melts wax is also capable of hardening clay. The same sun. Yeah. Right?
That's quite deep.
It is deep, you know. And I just feel like there are a lot of meanings that really can be attached to this.
Like
with
Mr. David
what is
always say,
rushing
most of
to
these
my
proverbs,
mind.
they have different interpretations.
Yes.
Yeah, they have different interpretations and they're quite deep. I
Yeah.
remember something related to the sun, but it also related to enslavement when some Africans were taken to the Americas and the Caribbean, and apparently some of them were wondering, they couldn't believe that the same sun that used to burn them here in Africa was the same sun that was now meeting them in this foreign land, because they just felt, you know, the kind of injustice of it, you know, that this son that used to nurture them and make them feel good and so on, now they were in enslavement and so on. But that was just, you know, something that always struck me when I read that.
Yeah.
But this one, yeah.
How about putting in the same efforts in trying to achieve something? Two people trying to achieve one thing, putting in the same effort, when it's balanced, can make you achieve it. You know?
It could be that.
Yes.
It could be that.
For me, that's
Yes.
what's coming to my mind right now. Because it says the sun that melts wax is also capable of hardening clay. Meaning, if there's an opportunity and you put in what is necessary from two people, for instance, then you'll be able to achieve it. But obviously, if one person puts in extra effort, then the person is able to achieve it. And if the next person doesn't, you won't be able to achieve it. Sometimes, for example, there are opportunities that exist. And when they exist, people say, oh, Aliu was able to have it, for instance. It's because Aliu put in the effort. That's why Aliu was able to achieve it. So if you, Mr. Drami, put in the same effort as well, you'll be able to achieve the same thing.
Of course, it's like pupils in a class.
Yeah.
It's the same teacher teaching them the same subject.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, they get different things from it, even though they've both been
It's just
taught
like how
the
I
same
used to
thing.
hate maths so much. And people who used to put in so much effort, if I put in, because I was too reluctant, so if I had put in the same effort, then we would like eventually have the same grades. I don't know, but that's just what is
And
rushing
for
to my
anybody
mind right
watching who also hates maths, I used to be like that. And then one day, one of my maths teachers called me aside and said, look, you're obviously quite intelligent because I've seen your other subjects. Why are you so stupid in maths? He didn't hold back.
Yeah.
And I said, because it's a difficult subject. He said, no, it's not. He said, it's about
You don't
logic.
want it.
And then he kind of taught me the rules, and he said, just stop being scared of it.
Yeah.
And it's like a light switched on. And, you know, when I ended up doing my O-levels, I got top grades. When I did my A-levels, I got top grades in maths. But when I went back and I told my junior teachers, they thought I was fantasizing.
Yeah.
They're like, you used to be terrible. So anybody who's scared of maths, just stop being scared.
Yeah.
Look about it, look at it
Just
rather.
get the basics.
It's about logic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all about logic.
Yeah. And if you're able to do well in English and other subjects, there's no way you can't be able to like do well in
Shows
maths.
you have intelligence.
You are, so
You
it's
must be
just left to you.
intelligent,
So really, I don't know if you all accept my interpretation.
I accept it to the point of saying it's a very good one, because for me it's a difficult one. But that's why I use the analogy of, you know, a teacher imparting knowledge to a group of pupils, and the same teacher standing in front of them. So, you know, the sun, and yet it has two, you know, completely different.
And also, the sun that melts wax is also capable of hardening clay. Developed countries, developing nations, they had to sacrifice certain things to put in effort to get their development to where they are. As African countries, we do not want to, you know, put in the extra effort. You know, we do not want to make those bold compromises to be able to reach there. And it's the same sun, and it's the same hard work that can get both nations to wherever they're trying to get to.
Again,
Exactly. And then if you look at it, for me, perhaps it could also be interpreted as something that is perceived as a downfall, could be in an elevation
For someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, that's my interpretation. Like Mr. David said, you know, these proverbs are always open to different interpretations, and then
which is why they brain teasers. I always consider them brain teasers, because if you put it to 10 different people, you might get 4 or 5 different interpretations, possibly even 10 different interpretations.
But anyway, like for me, it's like my favorite segment. It makes you think, especially when we get these difficult ones. You get to just, you know, think about how you'll be able to just interpret it or just come up with something. So, shall we move?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Please.
So we'll go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll head right onto the newspaper review. Do stay tuned.
Begin your SUV life. S-Pass Motors, the new authorized dealer for Kia. Visit us today or call us on 3522 222 353 2222.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. Done with our African proverb. Now we're heading right on to the newspaper review. What's on the Standard?
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Welcome back from that short break. Yes, like you said, on the Standard newspaper, I have police officer hit by taxi dice, airport bank thief pleads guilty, UDP awarded $10,000 as cost after Barrow's lawyers withdrew the first motion that was filed at the coast in the ongoing Supreme Court case. Former radio manager convicted. This actually happens in Nyomi. Yeah.
I can remember some last month it happened in Jara, so it's okay.
Yes, what do you have on the Foria?
So on Foria we have Adama Barrow's lawyers withdraw first motion seeking dismissal of UDP's election petition, and also GFA wishes Adama Barrow well, that is Honorable Bibi Dabo's political party, and also Gambia to vaccinate children below 18 against COVID-19, and Gambia registers 27 new COVID-19 cases, and police ask top official of Pro-Jame APRC movement 2 orders to stop reporting on bail. And groundnuts purchasing commences at Secos. And on the editorial, very interesting, I read it. I think we should really take a look at it, which is, how is Gambian business faring? So this is what we have on Forea. And I think it is important, we can even start with business today, because the editorial, I just looked at the editorial, and it is giving, it is asking question about why is it that Gambian businesses are not doing well? We do not have, in other countries, there are businesses that get to survive for so long. And in the Gambia, businesses start, they do not continue. What is the reason behind it? You hardly see a business that is even as old as the country, you know, or even halfway old as the country, you know. So what is the problem? Why is it that businesses just get to start and they're not sustainable at some point?
That's a difficult one, and the reason I say this is because in a former life I worked in something called the insolvency service in England, and if you work somewhere like that, you realize that the majority of companies that open actually go into liquidation or administration or some sort of some form of insolvency. So it's natural. I think what has happened in the Gambia recently, I mean, you have companies like the Q Group of companies, I'm not saying because we work here, but you know, not long ago it was celebrating 10 years. And it is a diverse company with a diverse range of things. And I think some companies are finding their feet in new markets and so on, whilst you have companies that, for example, are in the tourism industry. Now, the ones that went out of business, of course, almost totally to do with COVID. So COVID has kind of changed the landscape. But you said something interesting. You said most of them are not even as old as the country. And that actually was quite a shock when I heard you say that, because I hadn't even thought of it. But when you look at it, you know, how many companies are as old as the country, and there should be several. There should be tens, if not hundreds, that are as old. And so we need to look at, you know, what is the business culture that makes it that we don't have. For example, when I came here, one of the things that really shocked me was that I drove around the country. I wasn't even looking for anything particularly. I just saw lots of cashews rotting in several places, and I thought, why has there never been a juicing factory?
Mangoes too.
For mangoes, for oranges, for cashews in this country. Are you telling me nobody's thought of doing that? And yet you go to the shops, you have all this imported stuff on the shelves. It's ridiculous. And so, you know, if somebody does that, that is something that could be sustainable. So why? I mean, there are people who are doing it on very, very small scale, but none of them are that old.
And according to this particular editorial, they're recommending that the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs needs to do a special study of the state of play of Gambian businesses in collaboration with the GCI to fully assess how Gambian businesses with original capital are faring and how much they are contributing to the GDP of the country.
Yeah,
like a special study.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing that people can go online and find it, the Ease of Doing Business Index around the world. And in some countries, one of the reasons why businesses don't thrive is because it's not easy to do business in those countries. So perhaps they need to look at that. Although, as far as I remember, I don't think Gambia was doing that badly in terms of registering a company, etc., etc. It was relatively easy to do all those things here. And so that might be something that they need to look at. But, you know, business by its nature, it's dynamic and so on. So what you need is kind of spirit and a culture of entrepreneurism. And if people think I'm an entrepreneur and I can, you know, start a business and it can flourish, people will go into all kinds of businesses. You know, everything from entertainment to sports to you name it. You know, and then, you know, maybe those can be sustainable.
Yeah, I think business is just...
Yes, and for me, the other thing that's lacking in this country is like trying to have like 2, 3, 4 people coming together to initiate something. It's more like people are doing things individually. And
that will not work most of the time. Everyone wants to lead.
Because people see themselves as competitors and in a completely...
In most cases, they are doing the same thing.
In a different way, but in a way that reflects what you've just said. That's why a country the size of Gambia can have 18 political parties.
Because people, no one wants to be led
Nobody wants to join other
Exactly.
parties, and then when there's an election, everybody starts forming coalitions. Why didn't you have a coalition before an election and join that party in the first place? You know, why do you wait? So it's a similar kind of thing. People, you're right, very rarely, and again, Jennifer said, you know, a lot of people see themselves as competitors rather than collaborators when it comes to business, unfortunately.
And it's a total waste of time and resources because it will not work. You know, no one wants to be led by the next individual at the end of the day. You know, and at some point, it's more of the personal interest rather than the interest of the business, which also has to do with political parties. It's more of their own interest rather than the country's interests at the end of the day.
And you know, some of the things that you look at, and you're not even a businessman, you're not even an entrepreneur, and you think, if somebody did this, it could be sustainable. We eat, in this country, more fish than, I mean, I grew up in Sierra Leone, even though Freetown was a coastal city. People eat more meat than fish, and yet here, I think people consume more fish than meat. And yet, when we've done several stories when we've gone to these fish landing sites, and you hear the women complaining that, you know, they're having to throw away fish because they don't have storage sites. And I'm thinking, in 2021, that is idiotic. You know, why has nobody thought of having refrigerated, you know, bases all along the coast for these things so that they don't have to throw away tons and tons of fish every year? It's ridiculous. And yet, you know, that could be a sustainable business because, as I say, people consume huge amounts of fish.
And the thing is, do people, Gambians, really even have confidence in their own people that are doing businesses?
Well, the whole techie thing, that's what he was trying to inspire in young people. You know, that people can make things here. And for many people, they said that it opened their eyes to what is possible. Like, it's not, you don't always have to look somewhere else or go somewhere else. You could do stuff here and make a decent living. You know, and that's really what needs to be done. So you know, are there business schools? You know, like in you know, London College of Business and so on. Is there a Gambia College of Business that teaches, you know, business as you know, solely that? Those are the kind of things we need to.
I think for me, the issue of the techie fee, yes, it's a good idea. People talk about it, but in most cases, if you look at it, I can tell you 90% who are talking about techie fee trying to promote the idea, they haven't done anything here. And in most cases, most of them who are talking about techie fee, their sons and daughters are not even in this country. They are outside doing something else. I mean, maybe it's just 10% who are here, who have invested their resources here and are impacting on the country. But most of them who are talking about techie fee, organizing workshops here and there, I mean, they aren't even in this country. Their sons and daughters are not even in this country. And yet still they're telling young people you can make it here. Yes, though we have 10% of people who are here, who have invested their resources, who are impacting positively on the socio-economic development of this country, but the majority of them, to be honest with you, they just say it, but they don't believe in it. They are not staying in this country. Their sons and daughters are not even in this country.
At some point, I don't mind their sons and daughters not being educated in the Gambia. That is their they're educated outside. I don't have a problem with that. But my problem is, after being educated, you coming back into your country and just see, because obviously you don't expect some of them, their parents, to have the money. Probably, I can call myself Tekifi, for instance, me and you, because probably we didn't have the money to go out overseas. I did not have that money to go overseas to learn. I have the University of the Gambia. I've been in school here. I don't have the chance to have an international appointment to go and, you know, walk outside. Obviously, this is what I have. I can use myself as an example and use well to call ourselves Tekifi. But my problem is you staying there. That's my problem. When you get educated, what can you give back to your country? Also, the country can be frustrating, Mr. Ade. Sometimes you abandon everything you have outside, come here, people will frustrate you, unnecessary jealousy, fight.
Listen, it's not just the Gambia. People ask me all the time, if you live in England and you had observed me over the last 10, 15 years, people used to tease me and call me Mr. Sierra Leone. So when I retired, people were like, oh, why didn't you go to Sierra Leone? And you've just said the word. Sierra Leone can be the most frustrating, irritating, annoying country unnecessarily. You're trying to do your business, go about your business, and people are just getting in your business. Like all the time people keep saying, oh, I'm sure you want to go into politics. I'm like, have you ever heard me say I want to go into politics?
Just because they suspect.
I'm not shy, so if I wanted to, I would say it. But I don't want to go into politics, but yet people get on your case, including the government.
And you know what's funny, Mr. Ade? I had a conversation with an individual who went to the UK to study, genuine studies. Later, you know what she told me? She said, hey, I'm not coming back to the Gambia. I'm like, why? She's like, people talk about unnecessary stuff, putting stuff on me. I can just come back and give back to my country. But I can't. It's because of the people. People's thoughts.
But this is what I don't understand about the people. People talk.
Ali, you're not going through it. People are going through it. People are frustrated.
I know, but then at the end, it's about country, Mr. Ade.
Well, that's it. And Ali is saying, and the thing is,
it's about country.
And you know, people say to me, oh, why didn't you stay in UK and so on? And I thought, you know what? My parents went abroad to study in the 1950s. Their first thought was, as soon as we finish, we're going to go back and build our country. If we don't do it, we're going to come in 10, 15 years' time. And foreigners would have taken over. Yeah. Foreigners would have taken over our country because they see what is possible here, and we don't. Yeah. We're busy saying, oh, I want to stay in the US, I want to stay in the UK, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. Listen, you need to come back and build. Forget the frustrations. Like, even here in the Gambia, the frustrations I get in Sierra Leone are not the same, but there are similar ones. You know, I'm not saying I'm packing up, I'm staying.
Yeah, that's
because we have to make our countries work, not somebody else.
In fact, even the people who have made it in this country, who are impacting, are always talk about, every day people talk about them, point fingers at them, say things that are not true, but they still stay.
They stay at the end of the day.
That's true. So to say, because people talk about you and then you're outside the country, you don't want to come back and invest, and then you want to sit over there and think things will change. It can't change.
But Mr. Ade knows exactly where I'm driving, and he's been through it. It even goes beyond just people talking about you. What happens is, in these countries, or where you work, they empower you later and fight you. Yeah, look at him, them judging he's going to go into politics when he knows he's not getting into politics just because he's empowered.
Well, this is it. I shared the platform with the former Vice President, Solomon Berawa, at Chatham House in London, just a quick one. And because of my criticisms of the government, when I finished the conference, the then Foreign Secretary, who I won't name here, said, if that guy goes back to Sierra Leone, I'll have him arrested. I was annoyed.
Yeah.
And of course, because she said that, I made sure I went back. And I said, I'm here, arrest me. Arrest me for what? Because I criticize the government?
No, and because you have potential.
Because, you know, you can have differing views with people. It doesn't mean you're anti the government or anti the country.
We need to talk about this before we leave. I think the business is taking, that is the groundnuts. Groundnut purchasing commences. Because according to this particular piece on Forea, it says that farmers are not coming in large numbers to actually offer their groundnuts, and the ton is going at for $28,000 right now,
which is an increase.
Yes, but still, according to this report, it is saying that farmers are not coming up to offer their groundnuts. Yeah, I mean, as expected.
Yeah, you every time because funny enough, we have this story every year.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, is it because, you know, there hasn't been the publicity, there hasn't been the, you know, hate the word, sensitization, or whatever, and you know what is the reason? I think you'd need to go deeper into why, because if you just look at the headline, oh, they're not coming forward, you could make all sorts of assumptions, and
no,
they
but
might be wrong.
if I talk general, will say, okay, you're not all from the village. But I mean, maybe because the season is just starting, gradually people will start bringing their groundnuts, and then others perhaps they want to wait for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks later before they start bringing in their nuts. So I mean, maybe that's just
they're just talking about also private buyers coming in, which is also normal.
That has been
they will
here
just come in and try.
Like I said, we have this story every year.
Exactly.
So it's an.
But it's a good thing if there's increment in the price. I mean, that's quite commendable. And this is what we expect, because farmers also spend almost 3 months farming. So it's good that they are also offered good pay to sell their nuts. We are farmers, so obviously these are times that we also.
I did not see you when the season started. I did not see any picture of you or any activity.
No, but
and in fact, I went to the farm.
I know you did.
I did, and I have the evidence. Where is yours?
You'll have to dig it out.
We have to. Anyway, today I guess the conversation was all about business. Anyway, it just happens. Sometimes we just have a direction that we get to follow. So I'm afraid this is all that we have.
Even though we have a story on legal matters from
so hopefully we can bring this in tomorrow, hopefully, and just combine everything.
Well, particularly because that story is not going to go away.
Yes, it's not going to go away. It will be on the papers till it's done. So obviously we will have time to talk about it. So thank you so much for coming once again.
And I'm glad my voice held out.
So we'll go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to Community Watch, a day medical outreach to Farafenye by Association of Resident Doctors, and we'll be joined by the PRO as well as the outreach coordinator, Dr. Abdulaiba.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and I'm your host, Jennifer Sonko, with my co-host here, Aliu Cisse, One Stop Water Solution.
I was about to remind you.
Yes, right there at the Sukuta Highway. So stop by, get your dispensers. Dispenser bohamnesa. Bubu doko plug the electricity, right? For now, solar nga use, nga muna am everything. So people from Jara, exactly. Yeah. So people from Jara, obviously, we that are from Nyomi, we do not need it. But people from Jara, obviously, you need something like that, and then it will help you. So just stop by One Stop Water Solution.
Yeah, you can follow us Sukuta Jabam Highway.
So who is our guest, Aliu?
We're having Dr. Abdulaiba from the Resident Doctors Association of the Gambia. I mean, I understand they were in Farafenye a few days ago. I mean, briefly, just as Jennifer would say, lay the foundation.
Let's lay the foundation.
Exactly. Why? What was the purpose of that mission to Farafenye?
Good morning, Gambia. Good morning, viewers. Thank you for having us. Like you said, I am Dr. Abdulaiba, the IPRO of the Association of Resident Doctors the Gambia, as well as the one who was coordinating the outreach that we just had in Farafenye recently on the 11th. To your question, why? To answer that question, if you look at it, most of us are concentrated in the Greater Banjul area. We have some few specialists in the urban Gambia, but you realize the demand outnumber the people or the specialists that are there. So we thought it prudent because part of our mandate is to serve the Gambian population. And the Gambian in Serakunda is equally as important as the Gambian who is in Basse, for example. Likewise, the one in Basse should be equally benefiting from amenities that are available and from facilities that can be offered to them. So we thought it prudent. We've been doing this outreach, but we've been mostly in the Greater Banjul area. So we thought it wise, why not we go and meet them, bring quality healthcare service to their doorsteps and offer this outreach to them. You realize this time around was the maiden we had to go and do some surgical procedures. Mostly from the previous outreaches that we had, it was mostly medical consultations and dental consultations. But this time around, we went with surgeons, from general surgeons to gynecologists, who are Gambian members of the association.
Amazing.
Young people like us going there to help our people down in rural Gambia.
Okay, so Ali, okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, so let's just talk about the resident doctors in general. You know, I know you did this outreach, but prior to that, I'm 100% sure that there are challenges attached to just the profession. Because sometimes you talk to doctors and they tell you how difficult it is to be a doctor in the Gambia, considering how limited you are when it comes to some of the equipments that you need and all of that. So putting aside just the equity aspect of it generally, what are some of the challenges that you get to face as doctors in this country, making sure that you get to execute your duties comfortably?
Thank you, Jainaba, for that question. Part of our mandate as an association is also to stand for the welfare of our members.
Yeah.
Generally, we are a third world country. We are developing, so things are not on a silver plate. One of the challenges that I would mention has to do with our number. If you look at it, the number that is required to serve the population, it's still not there. But we are happy that we have more members, university is graduating. We have other people who are from other parts of the world. Gambians went for training and they are coming back. So we hope in the near future, and just to chip in that the postgraduate training has started. I am a beneficiary. You realize that when you train doctors, there are different levels. If you train them at university level, they need to specialize.
Yeah.
And we are happy that the commitment of the government and the postgraduate committee has started residency training in the Gambia. So that has also helped in trying to increase our number at specialty levels. So that is one. The other thing is I'm trying to get resources that are available, but whatever, we know the situation, it's not dire. But you know, as a health professional, you don't sit down and say, oh, this is not available, I fold my hands. But we go the extra mile to make sure that we deliver as expected. So basically, those are just general comments that I would want to add on the challenges. But notwithstanding, as an association to what have we done, you realize that this outreach is one of the ways we contribute in improving the health service delivery in the country. Government and ministry cannot do it alone. So they need people to come in and support. We've had some instances where we had a fundraising activity, bought some refrigerators for the blood bank in EFSTH. We have done that. We have conducted some health awareness programs. If you've been following our social media page, especially the
Quite
Facebook,
active,
especially when the COVID came out, we were one of the first groups to be out there in trying to sensitize the population. So all in all, these are things that we have been doing as an association.
So part of the things that you're doing, do you reach out to schools as well? Considering you're a very limited number, what strategies are you also using to encourage, you know, more people to really get into medicine and just health-related issues?
It's part of our mandate to go out to the population, especially combine it with a form of a sensitization program. And when you go there, you talk to the young fellows, especially the students, and one of the things is you inspire them. Seeing a young person standing in front of them, giving them health advices. So that is one of the ways that we've been doing. And we've had a couple, especially in the greater Banjul area, where we've gone to schools.
Right.
Some of our members also have been invited as chief guest of honors or speakers in speech and prize giving day, or some orientation where, or a career day. We've had the opportunity where some of our members, not at the capacity of the association, but as an individual capacity, an alumni of a student, of a school, and they've been there to, you know, encourage people so that we have more people coming on.
Yeah, Ali.
Yes, I just want to take you back to Farah Fene. I was there in August, if I'm right, just to do a story and assess what has changed at the hospital since the change of government. And what I've realized is that despite the numerous achievements in terms of maternal mortality, I mean, the CEO, Basiru Drame, told me at the time that among the key challenges that they are facing was the lack of adequate trained doctors and surgeons. How has this affected health service delivery in rural Gambia?
And I will just answer the question in relation to my earlier response, where I said most of us are concentrated in the urban areas. Yeah. If my memory serves me right, currently Farafenye is not having a general surgeon. So they had currently, at the moment, there was one, but I think he's on holiday, or maybe they are trying to get another replacement.
I think the one that was there was Cuba. And then they went on holiday. I don't know whether they were
so currently,
when they go on holiday, things are bad.
So currently there is none. And that's why, if you look at the statistics, the cases that we have done, 26 surgeries in about 8 hours, you realize that majority of them, almost 80%, we are all general surgery procedures. So it just tells you the demand. And we could not finish them because the target was just Saturday. So we left also a lot of cases waiting. So that will be in a way answering your question that there is still more that needs to be done.
Why do you all choose to be here and not go to the province and be based there? Why?
Yeah, I will just, the number is not there.
That's the
Even
thing.
those who are in Banjul and Serekunda and the greater Banjul area, you realize that if you go to EFSTH, for example, one would say, oh, they have a lot of doctors, but do they have the specialist number? Do they have those that are specialized to do these things? So the number is not even there. But notwithstanding, some of us have gone on postings and then trying to serve rural Gambia. But what you will realize that what you can do as a medical officer might not be as voluminous, as big as someone who is a specialist, because as a specialist you can go deeper, you can do more cases, you are bold to take more difficult cases. So with the advent of this postgraduate training, you realize that I am one of the first homegrown specialist surgeons, still on training, haven't completed yet, but at least with my membership exam and the papers that I have, I can be a little bit bolder to do things that a medical officer would not do. So the number is not there. If you need to count the gynecologists, they are a little bit more than the general surgeons, but it's still not serving the urban area.
How many, if you had estimate?
You mean Gambian gynecologists who are actively in service? I don't think there are more than 5 in the public sector.
Okay, and talking about gynecologists, what steps are the Gambia resident doctors taking when it comes to maternal mortality? Because at the end of the day, this is an association for the welfare of your members, but it's about also serving the country. And when it comes to maternal mortality, women are quite scared. Women even now have the perception that it is even better to go to nearby Senegal to deliver there. I've spoken to women who feel that way. So are you aware of that, and what can be done? Or do you think maternal mortality was underreported at a time, that is why the numbers were in there?
Thank you, Jenaba. If you look at the statistics, the data that is coming out, there is an improvement. But you realize that there is a change now in information gathering and people where they get their information. People are more aware. Little thing, it's on the media before it even comes to big media houses like you.
But somebody dying from giving birth is not little, is it?
So why am I saying that? It's like the information, the way it's spreads. So one life is regrettable.
Exactly.
And just to tell you that it's painful. Even seeing someone suffering. So talk less of losing a woman and her child or one of them. So it's really painful. So, but to answer your question, I'm not here trying to brag any government or something like that. I'm just speaking my mind.
Sure.
You realize that there is an improvement in the management. And if you look at the issues with maternal mortality, we had a series of webinars, about 6 series, and it's on our social media page. It's like when the thing came up, there was a lot of noise in town. But we decided as an association, how do we get our people informed? A family is mourning because some loved one has died, which is very painful. But how do we inform the general population about things that are happening? And if you look at all of those mortalities, if you analyze them, because the gynae departments in EFSTH and as a bigger body which is under the ministry, they have their audit reports. But if you look at these mortalities, I'm not saying they are all not due to health workers, but most of them you realize that there are different aspects that leads to the mortality.
I'm talking about improvement. For example, in Farafene, you realize that from January to the time I had visited the hospital in August, they had only one case, which is quite commendable, to be honest with you.
So just not to cut you, but just to finish the statement that I was mentioning, these mortalities has to do from preconception, meaning planning the whole delivery and pregnancy has to do preconception, antenatal, during the delivery process, and immediately after the deliveries. So if you look at all those things, there are different factors that come into play. And I hope someday you will have one of them to talk about these maternal mortalities on the health authorities or the doctor's perspective, and not just the general population. I'm not trying to be stone-hearted to say, okay, no, he doesn't feel that someone has died. No. But it's just to look at it at different angles. And you realize that those mortalities, most of them are preventable.
And now from Farafene, when next are you going perhaps to Basse, Soma, SL, when?
Yes, the target is every 3 months we will be having the outreach, but it depends on different factors. That is our aim, and we hope we will realize that. We are actually signing off as an executive, but this will be part of the recommendations that we will want to relay or hand over to the incoming executive. At least it becomes
a continuous process.
And now, in your own case, what do you think should be the permanent solution, to the lack of, adequate trained doctors and surgeons in most of these public hospitals?
And also to add on to that,
just a solution now. Let's look at the
just to
solution.
add on to that is where's the funding coming from? I just want to know if this is completely voluntary. Where's the money coming from to move from the urban areas to go all the way there? Is this completely voluntary, or do you have any form of funding that is coming from somewhere to transport you, to house you, to feed you?
Thank you. I'll start with Aliu. The solutions include getting more people trained as undergraduate doctors. One, because that's where, let me go down. From the sciences, with high school. You understand?
I talked about
we need to encourage more people in the sciences.
Sure.
That's one. And two, we need to encourage more people entering into the undergraduate program in medicine and the allied, because it's not only training a doctor, but you need to train the allied health professionals, which include the nurse, the pharmacist, the physiotherapist. It goes together. And then training more specialists. We are happy that the postgraduate training has actually kick-started. Surgery and ONG have started almost 3 years ago. Surgery and ONG under the West African College have graduated at least a member in each of them. We have a member in surgery and a member in gynecology. And pediatrics, family medicine have also started. So there's a lot of work. If you go to Banjul, going on trying to make sure we get accreditation. So that is to encourage more people going into these specialties. And I think that is the solution. And then the other things will fall into place, the infrastructure, the equipment. Because if you also, they go together in tandem. If you bring all the nice infrastructure and the other things, and you don't have the specialists too. But we are happy that under the current minister, who is my mentor, who is also a surgeon, is trying to knows these things, and he's working towards it. So we wish them well. To answer the issues about funding, all of us that have left our activities, including the doctors and the nurses, we are not given any butut.
Okay.
The association used some of its funds, but we had sponsorship from Ja Oil, Hamidou Ja. He was very generous. We asked for this. He just said, okay, that's the check. So it was very helpful.
Okay.
We also approached We Care Foundation under Stop Step Medicare group. And they also helped in with the drugs and other consumables.
Okay.
But one
so
of the big
hopefully
sponsors...
next time, approach us.
Yes, so
approach us next time. Q Group, we are so open to this.
Well, definitely.
So just give me a minute before I... but the biggest sponsor of all was the Minister of Health.
Okay.
Because we went to CMS, you know, requested for consumables, and, you know,
what
was in CMS, it was given to us. We were happy QTV covered the activities.
Exactly,
so,
that was our only way of also contributing.
Just give me, I know you are running out of time.
Exactly, yeah.
How do we sustain this?
Yes.
So there is a fundraising activity
Okay.
on the 22nd of January.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll approach Q Group or the Q Foundation in sponsoring that event so that we don't have to knock at each door anytime.
Okay.
We have the funds there so that when we want to go out again.
And we are already a partner by providing you free coverage, obviously, which some people get to pay for some time.
Why
so
not?
obviously we are part
let
of
them try
the
Q Group Foundation.
No,
I know the chairman is watching and he's somebody who is very concerned about this issue.
The
So definitely.
works are going, it's taking shape, and I think we are almost 70% there. So hopefully you will see us.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. So let you like tell Alice Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for the good work that you do. So we will keep following the progress of this particular Resident Doctors Association. Thank you for coming.
Thank you
so moving on, we are still focusing on health today because shortly we'll be joined by the Gambia Food Quality Authority, and they'll be here, Safety and Quality Authority. They'll be here to talk to us about how they are preparing to do some form of inspections as well as sensitization when it comes to food vendors and the Hamatan. So we'll be right back.
Want it? Order for it and pay quickly using QuickPay on the QMoney platform. With great technology comes ease and convenience. Get a glimpse of what a comfortable life is with QMoney by dialing *323# now. Call 133 for more information. QMoney, Sunyu Kalpe.
I am the light goddess. Everything I touch turns into light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel, and my technology is the answer. I am the happiness in your life. I keep you connected, and I am Q-Power. I am Q-Cell. I am Sunibus. We innovate, others follow. Call 111 for more information.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. Q-Cell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. Like I mentioned, we're continuing on health-related matters here, and we are joined by Mutar Sonko, Principal Food Inspector, as well as Abdulatif Dafe, Registration and License Officer, talking about food safety issues. As the Hamatan is here, what can vendors do to ensure that the food that they get to sell is good enough? So before we get into that, I know, welcome to the show, gentlemen. I know there was
Lady foundation.
Yes, we laid the foundation. There was a point in time I knew it was compulsory for food vendors to have sort of a little cage where their food is. Like, it's compulsory. You have to do it. If you don't do it, you can't sell. So I want to know what happened to that, because I know people selling currently who do not have that. So what happened to that rule?
Okay, thank you very much for having us. My first time in QTV.
Oh, really?
Welcome.
Wow. No, I don't mind. So, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here, really. This is some of the things we are looking for to increase our outreach to the population. And we really appreciate to be here. So, regards to your question about vendors, especially the Hamatan, you know, there's a lot of wind. If you know, recently, the past 2-3 days, the wind is blowing, you know, with a lot of power, you know, and that poses a lot of risk to foods that are being vended, especially on the streets, on the highways where vehicles are moving. So the cage you talked about is still enforced. You know, the only problem becomes Gambian people are difficult. You know, the vendors are difficult to control, and you will come and enforce, you leave, in the next 30 minutes they are back. You know, and sometimes what we encourage in most cases is community policing, if you would like, community inspection. Let individuals take the law, well, not to take the law in their hand, but
to report, maybe?
Report, of course, but if everybody sees and act rightly, we can correct these people by themselves. They will correct themselves. If, for example, I come and I found out that this guy is selling openly, I left, I go and buy to the person that is selling properly. You do the same, he does the same, everybody does the same, they will self-correct. Of course, this is not an excuse from us. We are doing our part, but it takes effort, it takes time, and considering the authorities also still, you know, developing, we are in the process of developing, recruiting new people, and the country is big. You know, the vendors are too much, especially in this greater Banjul area. So it's a lot of work and a lot of talk, you know. Countless people are coming every day into the business, and that's another challenge. Some people will start today, after a month they will quit. New faces will come in.
So
you have to go back and sensitize them, train them, tell them what you need. After a month they are gone, another new batch is in. So it becomes extremely difficult, really.
Okay, but when last did you do an enforcement when it comes to this? Because it simply died down. I can remember.
No, it didn't die.
Okay. I'm talking based on what I am seeing, because I go out and I see what is happening on the streets, how people are behaving.
Well,
so when last did you do any major enforcement? Because when this just started, people were scared and all of that.
Okay, so when it comes to the cages you are talking about, the cages are not to all vendors. It's to vendors that are selling breakfast and lunch.
That's the
when you go to the market, the market vendors, you don't expect someone who is selling salad and you don't expect them to have.
Of course not.
But the people selling breakfast and lunch, and even the dinner, sometimes you have others selling dinners at night. Those are, it's compulsory on those people to have the boxes. And if you go along the Kairaba Avenue, 90 to 95% of them are having these cages. I can promise you that.
Okay. Ali, can we do an assessment to figure out if 90%?
They are right out in front of you.
There's even someone who sells just opposite, just around QCL here. She also has the
Okay, because this is your first time on QTV, Ali was agreeing with you, so I accept.
I just want to engage you as the registration and licensing officer. What's your mandate as far as this whole food safety issue is concerned?
Thank you very much once again for inviting us here. And I think it's a very important question. Because these are things that we want people to know about. Because most of our food business operators do not even know that they need to have licensing. Yes. So this is a very, very good opportunity So actually, the mandate is that the laws of the Gambia has made it established that anybody operating in food business should have a license. And we have two regulations on that. We have what we call registration and licensing regulation, and we also have food fortification So these two licenses are very, very important, and food businesses should know about it. We have various categories, starting with the registration and licensing regulations. We have up to 23 categories, ranging from importing, exporting, wholesale. We cannot mention all of them, but we have the regulation book. This is a very good guide. Like you can give it to anybody who needs it. So we have the different categories and their charges.
Okay, maybe we can just have that just to show, just to know what's on it.
Exactly.
So that is it here.
Registration and
registration. So this is what people are supposed to read, right? To know what.
Yeah, so if you open it, you have a lot of details that can guide someone on how to register. We have our forms there. We have the different categories and their charges.
Okay.
Yes.
So is this put into local languages? Obviously, even if a person is not educated, they won't be able to read it. But what form of sensitization are you doing to ensure that
People
the person selling down in Basse, that grandma, is able to understand what this entails?
Why do you say Basse? I know Balamusa will come after you. Don't worry.
So let me come to when she mentioned Basse.
Yeah.
So thankfully, our office is not only limited to the combo areas here. We have a post in, we have an office in Basse, we have an office in Soma, we have an office in Farafenye, we have an office in Mansa Congo, and we have an office in Jiboro, in all the major border posts for the food coming in and food going out. So even in Janjambure recently we have another. So for those in Basse, our officer is there. They are also doing some sensitization to the public there. Who cannot speak English, they go and tell it to them in the local language that you are supposed to register. There is a law, you know, it mandates you to go and register and pay a certain amount of money. You know, well, the registration actually, the essence of it, like he says, is to have these people in check. You know, because there are conditions that you must meet before you are issued a license
to sell.
So you will have to bring in an application, and then we'll have to go and assess your premises to make sure that it is in accordance with the law before we issue you the and the license is not when we give it to you, you can go back and do anything. We can follow up, and we can do a follow-up inspection. If we find out that you are not doing accordingly, we can revoke the license and close you down.
Okay, so how about medical checkups? I want to know.
It's part of the
requirement.
Yes, to have yourself checked before you're able to sell.
And talking about enforcement, let's now look at prosecution. When last did you prosecute anyone for violating these laws?
So there is currently a prosecution going on. You know, we don't mention specifics, you know, because we don't want to destroy somebody's business.
Where exactly? In Greater Bank area?
In the Carnifing courts here. Yes.
Okay. But how often, really? That's the question.
Like at least once a quarter. So we try as much as possible to avoid prosecuting people, unless when there are extremes, when people refuse to comply. You know, sometimes you nehal, but you see they are still. People think the country is lawless sometimes. You know, they act like they have all the powers within them. So when the push comes to shove, we say, okay, let's go by the letters of the law. And we do that like once a quarter at least. We do have cases, you know, here and there. We have to take people to court. What we mostly do in our enforcement is to close you down, advise you to fix the problems, and then you go back to business. But if we see that you are restricting, you are saying, no, I will by force with the way I like it, or you do some serious damages to public health, then we have to go straight to the courts and make sure the things are fixed.
Okay, so how good or how strong is the capacity of people working at the authority? How specialized are they in relation to different components of ensuring food safety?
Okay, that's a good one. To be frank, we are building capacity. Remember, the food safety was established in 2013.
Okay.
And we started operation effectively in 2014. So from 2014 to now, right, currently we have about 3-4 people doing their masters.
Amazing.
You know, I just recently came from my masters.
Congratulations.
You know, thank you. And we also having some people right now doing their bachelor's degrees in the University of the Gambia here. You know, but sadly, the UTG doesn't have any specific course related to food safety. So if we want to do specialized courses, we have to opt for outside trainings. Yes. So for locally, it's biology courses, public health courses that are available for, because these are science courses. You need people to be trained in the science fields to be able to do food safety issues. So we also do in-house trainings. You know, experienced people are invited sometimes, you know, and we do in-house trainings within the authority, within the office, you know, which also helps to build the capacity here and there.
I mean, your work requires you to go out on the streets every day. At some point, I was doing a story about FSQA when there was that controversy and all that issue there. And then the issue of mobility was something that you had raised as far as, you know, your work is concerned, that it is really hindering your effectiveness as far as inspecting this thing is concerned. How far have you gone with that issue? Has it been addressed?
Partly, but still a challenge. Still a challenge. Vehicle is a problem. And you know, sometimes the government will, well, I don't know if it's the government, but they will come and take our, like right now, one of our vehicles is still with the I don't know if, should I say the government? It's still with them.
You are part of the government.
Yeah.
You are part of the government. You are the government.
So the vehicle is still with them. We still couldn't get the vehicle from them. And we have, I mean, mobility is a problem. And we have to be mobile every day.
You need cars.
You know, there is no excuse. We cannot be immobile.
Well, we are coming at the end of the year. The new budget is coming, so perhaps you know you can allocate some millions and go to Espas and get new vehicles there.
Yes, Espas Motors, right?
Sorry, I want to buttress little on that question. Based on the specialization, I think in the Gambia here we also need to encourage students, you know, especially the science students, to venture into areas like food science. You know, even though our university here, unfortunately, they've not started programs like that.
But it's a young university.
Yes, because myself, I studied food science. I'm a food scientist. And looking at the country, it's like we have very few food scientists. So as far as FSQA is concerned, we need more specialized, you know, people. Yes, in the authority.
Okay.
Yes.
So which means you had to study outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, and aside from that, there's something also general that we really need to talk about, the issue of expired food in our supermarkets, in our shops. What are you doing to fix this problem? It is evident, it is common.
Yes, so this is a question we have every time we go to the media.
Yes.
Expired
food.
Yeah.
So expiry has a, there's a lot of technicality involved in expiry of food. By the basics of it, generally there are even different types of expiries. If you pay attention to the labelings of expiry, some will indicate expiry, they will indicate manufacturing date, and they will indicate expiry date. There are some labelings they will say best before.
And this could be confusing.
Best before the date.
They will just put manufactured date and best before date. There are some they will put used by. So these are all different types of labelings which have different connotations, different meanings. So they all have to do with safety and quality. These are things that are different. You know, something can be of quality, but it's not safe. Something can be safe, but there's no quality in it. So when an item is labeled expired by, when they put an expiry date, that item has to not to be used by that date. But when they say best before,
the quality
they are telling you the quality is going down, but you can still consume the product. You know, so by law we are not mandated when only the quality is down. You know, but when the safety is out, we don't compromise on that.
So which means best before?
Best before can still be consumed for some time. You know, for some limited time.
For some limited time. Be specific. Is it 6 months? I hear people say 6 months.
No, it depends on the type of food also. It depends on the type.
But how are people going to know what type of food should go for how many months?
Some of these, it is already expired and they are still selling it.
Yes.
Because, for example, you have somebody who comes from the village, you know, you have no time to look at whether it has expired or not. No, I'm serious.
I tell you.
No,
No, nekkul ñoo xam ne ñu bari si Gambia bi duñ lay read.
No, honestly.
We don't read.
Soo jógee jaara musuloo lekk chocolate.
Nga ñëw gis
chocolate ñu ne la expire na waaye nga ne chocolate la foog ma lekk ko.
Wow, that's right. So you're right. There are items being sold that are expired.
Yeah.
We see this every day.
Yeah.
Even while I was coming here, I received a call that there are some drinks in some supermarket being expired. So at some point, we do enforce this when we come and see you selling an expired item.
It's a problem.
Sometimes
even they are here in town here, they have that mistake.
Yes.
You go and buy, you don't even look at the expiry date.
Yeah, you don't just pick it up.
But the other problem becomes, again, our attitude, Gambians. You go to Serekunda, you know, there is in fact a Johnson, I believe, is now labeled as expired Johnson. Expiry Johnson. You see? So the Gambians like to go cheap. Because these items are about to expire, the importers, the major importers, sometimes they have them for long in their stores.
Yeah.
When it's a month or two to be expired, they will decide to dish it out at a cheaper price.
Wow.
So these middlemen will go and buy them in bulk and bring it at that street and be selling it cheap. And even if it is not expired sometimes, because of the exposure, because of the sun, because of the dust, the food can already be rendered unsafe before even it gets expired. So expiry is a minor thing. Before something even gets expired, it's bad already sometimes. So we go there. Last 2 weeks ago, we were on the markets, you know, just confiscating, taking these things out of the market. You know, but the problem becomes you are taking it. In fact, some people are struggling to buy.
At that point in time.
At the same place. So it becomes very difficult to control. Gambian people are difficult to help. You know, sometimes, I'm sorry to say.
Wait a minute, is the poverty
and
rate?
Poverty, thank you. People are looking for cheaper materials.
To also stop. Why poverty be? Aliou nañu nangu tam Gambia poverty be moo gën a contribute bro. Bro, xam nga luy issue bi dégg ma ne bro sax. Mr. Sonko, the thing is, fii nit yi amuñ xaalis. Understand that there's no money. At the end of the day, kuku survival am la mo.
Right.
So the issue of poverty, bringing in proper social protection and all of that for people, all of these things, pour ñu solve ko dafa join, dafa interrelated with different departments. Poverty bi su jeex soo gisee ni di dem di uti loolu amul xaalis.
Dafa amut,
loolu mooy reality bi amul lu moo lekka. Moo tax mu koo def.
Waaye nit ñi tam dañu war a buy seen xel because at the end of the day, you buy a cup of milk for $10 instead of $20. You end up spending $3,000 at the hospital.
Exactly.
So the long time they want to buy hell. Of course we are poor and then, but well.
So actually it does not solve it.
It's not solving. Why? Pour yen tam sen problem mu solve. Am na beneen department boo xam ne. ñoom tam dañ war a régler.
Right.
Pour yëpp mun a régler. Loolu mooy dëkk bi. At the end of the day, lii yëpp dafa join. Xam nga. Anyway, it's just hard to deal with sometimes, Ali, when you just look at it. So the Hamatan is our problem right now. That is exactly the topic. So poussière bi ak yooyu balaa ñoo dugg si loolu balaa time because ñu ngi am beneen segment time bi dafa jeex sax. Jeex na taak soo fi nekk nii yan measures. waaw waaye dinañ ñëwaat inshallah xam naa dinañ mën a ñëwaat.
Fortification régulation.
waaw waaye baalal ñu rek parce que time bi dafa jeex. Time moo jeex tak so Hamatan bi lan ngeen naa def.
So Hamatan bi, we are trying to be specifically focused on people that are vending. Ñu nga xam ne they are exposed to the wind, you know, sensitize them on covering more, you know, and avoiding the dust as much as possible. Especially like hal bi tamit mu ngi bari. If you watch the hal sellers, ñu nga xam ne ñu ngi jaay hal, most of them right now are covered.
Wow.
They are well covered, as well as the other vendors. So avoiding the dust is the main focus during the and also because it's end of year, expired items are getting more.
Wow.
You know, we are focusing on that as well. So the last 2 weeks was on supermarkets and markets, you know, looking at expired stuffs as well as
encouraging. Thank you so much for joining us. So I guess when we have time, some balal ñu rek dafa melni time bi dara
but please just give me a 30 seconds, please.
Wow, why? We just have the sports update.
30 seconds.
What happened is when we go to the field, there's this important regulation on food fortification on oil. Most of these oil are not fortified with vitamin A. And based on the regulation, by next year, they are not going to be allowed in the country.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that people are...
Wow.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Why
you have your nutritionist in office?
No nutritionist.
Yeah.
There's Nana. There's a whole department. Yeah, of course.
Anyway, we're looking forward to another conversation. Because this is very, very important.
Sure.
Collaborate len rek su ko defee affaire si muna solve yen rek so len jógee affaire si du dem. So I just hope you enjoyed your first time on QTV.
I did.
QTV.
Thank you very much for having us.
So let's go for this break. And
thank you very much.
We head right on to the sports update.
Begin your SUV life. S-Pass Motors, the new authorized dealer for Kia. Visit us today or call us on 3522-222, 353-2222.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, Q Money and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your Q Money account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any Q Money agent across the country to receive your payment for free or use the money immediately to buy credit, Q Power and other Q Money services. It's fast, safe and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Want it? Order for it and pay quickly using Quick Pay on the Q Money platform. With great technology comes ease and convenience. Get a glimpse of what a comfortable life is with Q Money by dialing *323# now. Call 133 for more information. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Want it? Order for it and pay quickly using Quick Pay on the Q Money platform. With great technology comes ease and convenience. Get a glimpse of what a comfortable life is with Q Money by dialing *323# now. Call 133 for more information. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now we're heading right on to the sports wall.
Yes, indeed, we are. And as I was saying before the break, I hope my voice will hold
and
out.
you are able to make it.
Thankfully, I don't have too much time.
Yeah.
Because apart from anything else, Coach Tom Samfier, of course, has released the 28 names of his squad for AFCON. And, you know, I always used to joke on Facebook and on Twitter that if you want to start an argument, just say you're picking a national team. Yeah. Everybody who knows anything about football has an idea about what the national team should, you know, who should be in the team and who should be in the squad. And it's no different this time. My colleague Aliyu here, we've been scrutinizing it. And Aliyu, we've been looking at who's in and who's been left out.
Exactly. Like you said, the final squad, we have Babukar Gay, Sexibi, Modi Job, Modi Jan, Umar Koli, James Gomez, Noah Sanko, Buba Sane, Ibu Toure, Saidi Janko, Mohamed Mbai, Ibrahim Sona, Dawda Ngam, Suleiman Mar, Ibrahim Dabo, Yusuf Abab, Ibu Adams, Musa Baro, Abdullah Diallo, Steve Trawale, Ibrahim Akoli, Lamin Diallo, Buba Job, Asan Cisse Torres, Mohamed Badamosi, Modou Barrow, Dembo Dabo, and Yusufa Njai.
And as you know, as he got to the end there, many people who are hearing the squad for the first time, the first thing they're thinking, oh, I'm glad this person is in.
Yes.
Football fans are, I'm glad, why is this person out?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, why is this person out? Why is it, our colleague Babukar C mentioned young guy Madi, saying, you know, why is this guy, he plays in France, in Ligue 1, he's playing very well. He's played every game for his team in Ligue 1, and he's not in the squad.
The likes of Ali Sow, who's also doing
well.
well.
And yet you have players who have not, they're not with a club. You've had players who've not had game time. And yet I'll just read this quick quote. And he said, the squad is selected based on the principles that we have to look ahead on what we need. This is from Somfia. He said, looking to the opponents that we will face and possible opponents in the later stages. So, you know, he's not just looking at the group games, he's looking ahead to beyond the group games. But as I said, you know, I think at least 6 players are without clubs, in that, which is quite a high number in a squad of 28. That's quite a high number. So, you know,
I think for me, I spoke to someone this morning. He was trying to ask me what's my opinion on this selection. For me, I see a coach who is trying to reward some of these players who have been there throughout the campaign, and now this is the first time Gambia is going to play in a major tournament like this. So most of these players, they want to be part of that history.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that. I watched a documentary the other day, and it was about they were talking about Jose Mourinho and others, and he said, if you're a coach and you don't pick your best players, you end up getting sacked. He said you will always pick, he said you'll hear fans saying, oh, you picked this person because of this, because of that. He said, but no, he said you will always pick the team that you think will win you the games. Because he said if you don't, you get sacked. And it's the same with Somfia, it's no different. If they don't do well, you can't reward players just because, oh, this is the first time, we're not going there for a holiday.
Said reward.
No, but that's what has been said on social media, and even in some of the newspapers I've said, you know, that people are being rewarded rather than. But when you look at the squad, and as Aliu says, when you look at who's been left out, it supports what he's just said, that maybe some people are being rewarded because this is the first time. And one of the things that struck me, and it's only when I was reading through on the CAF website, it said Gambia, until now, Gambia had been the only country in West Africa that had never qualified. And so, yes, we know it's the first time, but in fact, it's not only is it the first time, but in fact, had we not qualified, you know, we would still have been the only one. Every other country in West Africa had qualified at least once. And Gambia now has qualified.
And if you look at it, most of these players, they have been on and off throughout the qualifying period, and they have always been participating in the qualifying campaign. And most of them are now old guards. Perhaps next AFCON will have find them retired. And like I said, I mean, this is historic, and then they will do anything just to be next to, you know, they're part of the squad, because they want to have it as part of their history. So, you know what, I was probably the first time Gambia played in AFCON.
Well, that's right.
And like you said, you know, the coach perhaps is also trying to look at players who are really committed to his cause, players who will come and give all their best, even though some of them, as you said, at the moment, they are clubless. I mean, but then let's see how it's worked out. But then it's always difficult when you, like you said, I mean, selecting a national team for such tournaments. You know, every player has your own fan. You come from a community where they all want to see you in the squad. So you can never satisfy all both sides.
But Mr. Ade, should it be based on what Aliu is saying? I'm not a sports
let me give you the one.
Aliu is saying reward. That is very dangerous.
Let me give you an example. There's one example which is always quoted, and it's historic and it's a fact. In the 1966 World Cup, Pele was injured and he didn't play for about 2 years. When they were going to the 1970 World Cup, he wasn't even in the squad. He didn't play in any of the games, he didn't play in the friendlies. The president, they then had a dictatorship in Brazil. The president said to the coach, if you don't pick Pele, I will sack you.
Really?
They picked Pele. Not only that, he ended up being the man of the tournament. He hadn't played for 2 years. He went, so it can happen, but Pele was an exception. Pele is an exception.
It may happen. For example, you can have a squad, and then you have the likes of Mr. Ade. Perhaps he's not with a club, but his inspiration off the pitch, he can contribute a lot as far as, you know, because having certain players on the pitch alone tells a lot. It adds weight, you know,
to the squad. It can inspire teammates, and it can strike fear into other teams, into opposing teams. And that certainly worked with Pele, you know, when he was in the squad, and, you know, when they did the training, they realized, okay, this guy hasn't played for 2 years, but he's fit and he's as good as ever. And as I said, he ended up being the player of the tournament. So it can happen, but, you know,
so that for the best, and then I hope they will go out there and prove all of us wrong by giving it all out to make sure, you know, they're able to at least, you know.
And I keep saying, yes, it's the first time, but let's do what Madagascar did the last time.
Yeah.
At least get to the quarterfinals, you know, get through the stage, group stages, get to the quarterfinals, and then, you know, make us proud. And who knows, go even further. But they have to think big and they have to dream big.
Okay.
And just very quickly, Karate Association, they're coming to see us. They went and took part in a competition in Senegal.
The karate.
Yes, in Senegal last year. They'd reached out, nobody could sponsor them, so we gave them the money. Not only did we give them the money, they went and they're coming back with the Gold Cup. They're outside waiting to see us.
Wow.
So yes. So the Gambia
amazing.
Karate Association, well done to you guys for taking part.
And well done to you too for supporting them.
But yeah, so there you are. So,
wow. Okay.
As I said, they're waiting for us outside.
Asante is on the team.
Oh yeah, Torres.
Yeah, as long as Asante is on the team, I'm okay. He's the only one I know.
And then to look ahead to tomorrow, on the sports tomorrow, we hope to speak to one of the Gambia Scorpions team members here on this morning. So
I'm aware that ST has a brand new song called, what's it called again?
Konkoto.
Konkoto. It's called Konkoto, which means hunger, right? Heaf. The heaf line. You don't want to the poverty level. We were just discussing it. So anyway, we're just trying to put across that this will be premiering on YouTube tomorrow. So hopefully we will have him here tomorrow and just talk to us about what motivated him when it comes to this song. I observed that when it comes to ST, his songs are always educating people, you know, ranging from Cigaretto to the elections to this now. So I'm so excited to see what he's trying to put across. My prediction is that it will be based on poverty issues, considering the title.
He never disappoints.
That's just how he is. So looking forward to a conversation with him tomorrow. Bye for now.
hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun ji senango adabe hadamadun la balu wala kon annun hadamadun ka fengo fen dundi akono kono ayanda ke ku senango ay ke kuti mi yalla ko ata hadamadun mantora madum one stop water solutions limited ibe janne gambia banko kan annun ye filtarole natal mi yalla ko isala jiol kende andi anu isa senen inatale pour ka ji kendo ji senango natale gambia banko kan jio mi yalla ko atal mantora la annun jio diata ba one stop water solutions limited ye filtarole natal mi yalla ko alse muna fangano la alla pompol isala jiol tenteng ya senendi coming alla fala nyame naketa pompoti bang abo holo fo nawek la pipe wala a filter sifa o sifa one stop solutions ya natale 10-inch filter set of 3 ya sotale filter mi yalo ko acidiota aya tenteng natara bankole ba kono fa kenyo wala kankan be bije sa be bon filter fana member ko 12-inch set of 3 filter mi yalo ko acidiota aya dada aya senendi men sebeta alla jata kendato fana sotale CTO block carbon filter o fana mu filter mi yalo ko asi chemical o bonnino jiol kono le men sebeta alla jata kendeya filter mum boko CTO block carbon men si jiola chemical be bondi akono pour alla jata kendeya sa hen nim filter sabol be kiliwo kilina pansun doku ngawata tankol fanan sotali kabirim 500 5000 fokata 10000 liters plumbing fittings fanan be mol bulle alsimol tarano sukuta highway mariama kunda johnson wala isimol kumandi 505 5691 796 8272 one stop water limited solutions inatale ka jiko be sonende gambia banko